this new Candace thing, I'm gonna be honest.
Hold on. Let me read the story for the audience so they can at least know what we're on. It's been about a month, y'all, and I don't know if you know the story, but Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron launched a defamation suit against Candace Owens, and they did it for good reason. I'll tell you why in a second, but I just want you to know that the podcaster herself, Candace Owens, is flailing just a little bit. She admits that she can't afford the millions, she says millions in legal fees that her lawyers estimate the case will cost. And she's now hawking $30 free Emmanuel t-shirts and hats to her followers. Now, if you didn't know exactly what she's being sued for, let me say, the First Family of France basically are upset because for months, Candace Owens was peddling a story that the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, was born a man or born a boy, born male, and that she has been hiding this secret. And for some reason, this has become a super interesting and important and urgent story for some right-wing conspiracy theorists. They asked her to stop. She wouldn't. And eventually, they filed a lawsuit. Now, people didn't expect her to be sued because they figured, well, what's the, it's France and they're far away and they're too rich and famous and powerful to care about what Candace Owens is talking about in America. Well, it turns out they don't like it. And they did it. So anyway, even though she's hawking these t-shirts to make money and to fundraise maybe for a legal defense, that hasn't stopped her from pleading with President Trump and J.D. Vance to intervene on her behalf, calling the French president a, quote, foreign invader. Now, Candace Owens is not happy that Donald Trump hasn't stepped in on her behalf. I'm not surprised, but she's not happy about it. So she floated the idea that the U.S. military pressured him, Donald Trump, to tell her to drop the Macron story, suggesting the former president is under the thumb of a military junta. The reason she's saying that is because at some point Donald Trump did call Candace Owens and say, yo, knock this shit off. Stop it. Now, some people say he did it to help Candace. Other people say that Macron told him that, yo, get your girl. Either way, she's not backing off of her conspiracy theories. In fact, she has doubled down with increasingly bizarre claims, even speculating that Brigitte Macron
is her brother.
Participated, basically, that she participated in the Stanford prison experiment as part of a CIA mind control plot. I'm not even going to get to the rest of it. The point here is that Candace is saying wild shit, and Macrons aren't happy about it. I don't know where to start, Treva. First, this story that the First Lady was born male, I don't know why they keep telling the story, and they keep assigning all these so much meaning to it, but it's not clear what the meaning is. And then the fact that she's getting sued, I kind of like it. I don't want to see anybody go broke, but I kind of want to see her not win this. Okay. What say you, Dr. Lindsay?
This is so ridiculous. She is so ridiculous. And that's really it. I mean, it's such a transphobic whole thing, even in the way that it's being talked about, even the case itself, it's all really just ugh. And all of the players,
it's really gross.
All of them are transphobic, like including the Macrons. Like I'm not, because that's not about Brigitte being assigned male at birth, right? It's about saying like like the part of me is like, and if she were, like, I don't, what would that mean and or do? Like, it's really that part of it at that level of what we talk about transphobia. But now that we are saying you're just telling a lie over and over and over again, and people are saying like, stop telling this lie, Trump back channeling, stop telling this lie. And so you just tell more lies, and now you selling merch to try and cover legal fees. And I don't know how much merch you got, but I'm doubting it's going to cover these legal fees. And the Macrons have both time and money. So when you got time and money today, this is just, I don't see the end for this. Like, I don't even see practically.
I think the game was she could get a lot of views, make a lot of money. She didn't think that the Macrons were going to say or do anything. She thought that they're so big that like nobody was going to intervene, because before they intervened, she would get 1 million views, 2 million views just saying, here's a proof.
Right. it just seems like at a certain point, where do you tap out and realize that you have neither the time nor the money to keep this going, and that you
Right.
could just come up with a whole host of other lies. I mean, and other theories, and like just keep their names out your mouth. Like that actually is an option. You keep a whole bunch of other people's names in your mouth, and you keep a whole bunch of other lies and conspiracies in your mouth. So why this one and why the digging in is baffling to me.
Nicole Davis said this is retribution for her shit talking about George Floyd. Again, Candace had a conspiracy theory about George Floyd and why he really died, basically saying that the police didn't kill George Floyd.
And nobody said anything. No, there was no pushback. There was no caring.
Absolutely. Claire Alden says assigned male at birth is a terminology. Absolutely. I think what I was, if you mean me, I was trying to use the language that Candace was using to kind of point out how she's talking about it. She's talking about like a scandal. That's really a man. That's really a boy, which again ignores trans identities, ignores the social construction of identity, and makes it seem as if, anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
When I hear Candace talk about it, because I wasn't initially, I was definitely against Candace, anti-Candace for a long time, probably until around the Joe interview. But what I've been seeing her do lately, her and is it Tucker Carlson? Is that the other guy?
Mm-hmm.
Tucker Carlson, and what's the kid out of Chicago that's making a lot of noise? Young kid. It's another one. It's Tucker Carlson. It's another guy. It's like three people. I wish I could remember his name. It's not important right now. But the interesting thing about what I see, the difference between the three of those is very clear. One, although Candace, I believe, has always identified as being Black, she's never identified with the Black struggle as of publicly.
No.
She's now in the forefront of the Black struggle. This is when I say media. None of these other people are saying the same types of things are being hit with her. We don't see the white journalists say the things they do, and now is sounding as if she's losing everything. I don't think her asking someone to be honest about who they are in their history is transphobic. And maybe the idea is it's not her business, and maybe that shouldn't be the platform she's running on. But the reality is, we are often, when I say we, Black and brown people are often called every name that she's being called, whether it's conspiracy theorists or whatever else, anytime we question the power struggle of white people.
But what's the value? Here's what I think is transphobic. One, she's not just saying that this woman was assigned male at birth,
yep,
which just wouldn't be our business regardless. But she's saying it as of a moral failure. She's saying it as, aha, I got something on you. She's basically saying, if this thing, there's a piece of information about you that the public doesn't know, and once they know it, they will know that you've done something wrong. She's framing it as you've done something wrong. It would be like if we said, Donald Trump, he's really actually 1/8 Black, but we're not saying it like as a sign of pride. We're saying it like, he got some. You get what I'm saying? As if the right were to say Donald Trump was 1/8 Black and saying it as evidence that something's wrong with him, that would be racist. It wouldn't just be pointing out.
Could she be saying they're wrong because of the deception? If it's true, the deception they're using.
But what's this? Well, go ahead, Trevor. I'll let you.
So when someone's assigned male at birth and then is a woman, there's no deception there, right?
There's
like
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? Like there's no deceiving,
100%.
right? You are assigned something because of genitalia. That's an assign that's within like science is saying this is what we're going to dictate. That's what the medical says. If I see a penis, you're a male. If I see a vagina, you're a female, right? That's all it gives. It doesn't tell you if it's a woman, if it's a man, if it's going to be a boy. It doesn't give us any of that information.
Absolutely.
So in her saying that there is no deception, like even if Brigitte Macron was assigned male at birth, there's no deception that happens.
No,
as her saying like that she's a woman. So like it's a non
unless some of the things she's alluding could be true, and if that's the case, just say, hey, this is me. This is what I was assigned at birth, and this is my choice today, and this is fine.
Well, why does she owe the public?
Or she could say, It's not your business. And it could be left there.
Right, but also you could just say like, this is defamation to say something about me, right? Which was like, one, to like be in my genitalia, which is already weird anyway, to be all up in somebody's genitalia you don't know, and don't have consent to be talking about or anything. Like, all of us get to have presumed genitalia because of how we present, and so now we're taking that away from somebody by demanding that now, because anybody can just say, I think you had a vagina at birth, so tell me. Like,
I need to prove about your genitalia.
proof is
But
anybody
we're in the space of people having opinions and being able to express those opinions. I believe as long as it's in a respectful manner. Now, if they argue that it's not respectful, listen, we just had a great conversation on Palestine. However, there may be some of our brothers in the Jewish faith who may feel that not only are y'all not Israeli or Jewish or Palestinian, who gives you the right to speak on us? Like, at some point,
that's a conversation we have to have. By the way, Kina, are you on a laptop?
Yes.
If you could lower your headroom a little bit, just because it looks like just so we all look like the same height. I
am taller.
That's the funny part. You're actually taller than me, but somehow in this thing it looked like we were studying you. I don't want to look like that height wise, but I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about, you know, people speaking for people who have been representing people, etc. But I think we also, and people in the comments have talked about this, that context does matter here. Candace Owens spends a lot of time talking about transgender people as if they have a mental illness. She's talked about it as a moral failure. She's talked about it as a sin. She's talked about it as what God doesn't want. So it's also against that backdrop that when she says, I think that's actually a dude, that she's actually invoking a lot of things. One, she's conflating sex and gender in ways that are problematic. She's ignoring how someone chooses to identify. But also, let's be clear, she's making this shit up. Like, let me take that back. She's not making it up. She's not that original. She actually heard other people say it. Right. And then she's echoed it. Because it's just like it's not just like, but it's similar to Obama with birtherism, where people were starting to say, you know, I don't think he's from here. And then suddenly people said, you know, I'm going to look into this. You know, Donald Trump is saying Obama's not from here. And someone could clearly say, well, it's not racist to ask those questions. It's just a question. We're just trying to verify where they're from.
Absolutely.
But the question, you get what I'm saying? But the question itself presumes that something's wrong.
There was a racist undertone to it. However, when we see the backlash, meaning the lawsuits versus the two, there's a clear difference between the way she's being treated and the way anyone treated Donald Trump in that same way, right? So I don't what I see it as is whether, and again, I like her pivot, but what I don't see is nobody's protecting her. And again, she has to be accountable for her own voice, her own decisions, the things she said.
What should she be protected from?
Right.
This isn't a lawsuit thing. This is nothing but different. This is no different from the Inquirer, no different from the Star from back in the day, right?
You're saying it's just like it's the normal kind of.
This is sensationalized journalism.
But maybe we shouldn't do that. But maybe if more people did get sued, they stopped doing it.
But we've been doing it. It's always existed. Sensationalized. It happens in Europe. Obviously, Princess Diana got God rest her dead, lost her life through paparazzi. The idea of sensationalized journalism has always existed. To speak about her as if she's an outlier, she's saying something or doing something that we've never seen, that's not fair to her.
No, if you're saying, okay, please.
I don't think it's about whether she's senior. It's like if she's doing something terrible and has had a record of terrible and being harmful to a lot of people, that I think it's going to be hard pressed to get anybody concerned about protecting her from folks she's been ridiculously hateful and harmful to over the years of her career, right? That's singular here. But also I think calling out, and there have been moments now where we have seen people sued. We saw this with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry when they sued white journalists who made up and said libelous things about them that we could say was sensationalized, right? And actually won some of those cases against individuals who were doing this kind of work. Like, this goes back to, I think, like, who do we want to be and what are the standards we want to have? Like, I don't want to hold standards in the Latin community that suggest that saying harmful things about people that come from a harmful context is okay because white people get away with it. Like, I don't want anybody getting away with it. But Candace Owens also has a record that tells me that she is not planning to pivot to being less harmful. Like, that's actually not the pivot that she's made. She has a different backlash coming at her because of different things, but her own words, her own behaviors suggest to me that I'm still going to be harmful. I just might be harmful in this context versus this prior context. But being harmful is not something I'm ever going to be comfortable protecting or riding for.
It's an interesting conversation. I'm going to move on. I agree with Kiddo about one point, which is I don't want her to be the beginning and ending of our commitment to suing people who make shitty lawsuits or who make shitty news coverage. In other words, it's easy to take her and make her the scapegoat for this whole thing. It's easy to take her and only punish her. I'm not sure that would be because she's black or because she's a woman or because she's conservative. I think it's just because the Macrons got money and power and decided that not today, not on my watch. But that's not it. I can't ignore the issues of race and gender, even if it's happening to somebody who I don't care for politically, who I don't agree with politically. So I think we do need to be mindful about not making her the only person who gets this kind of treatment. But I think we should resist the argument that it's always going to be this way because it's always been this way. I'd rather say, look, history shows us that when journalism is as irresponsible as it is in this case, people like Princess Diana die. Kids commit suicide. Social media causes people to do harm. I mean, we're going down the list of things. And when you talk about the way trans youth are treated in general, but especially on social, in social media and in school and in these other places where the suicide rate is super high, we could say, hey, all this needs to be done differently. And again, I don't love the courts being our mechanism for doing it.
Sure.
But something has to give. Something has to give.